I started dancing when I was 8. 6th grade, I was called a fag for dancing in my elementary school. 4 years, I quit dancing. What's going on, everyone? You're watching Emeroy TV, and today is Grow Friday. For this segment, I answer your questions on dance, productivity, give you guys insights on how to just be an overall effective human being. So today I'm going to be answering your questions on dance, which is, one of the popular things here. So the first question is, this is from Lori. Okay, is it possible to never get better at hip-hop dancing? The only way you never get better is if you never practice, if you never take class, if you essentially just kind of one and done kind of thing. You take a class once, assume you got it, and then you leave. I think that's like the biggest mistake that a lot of people do. If you're practicing every day, even if you're not taking class, even if you're getting any formal training, I think you're going to get better incrementally every day, every month, every week. But if you are taking that class and you're getting feedback, you're a part of a community, you're going to sessions, you're taking online classes, you're doing whatever it takes, you're going to grow. But if you're just kind of winging it, not getting any of the feedback you need to improve, then the growth is slow. And then you don't grow if you don't practice. That's all I got to say. All right, next question is, what is the best hip hop dance team in the world? I think that's a very subjective answer, but if you're talking in terms of like currently of this filming, I don't even know who the winners are, honestly, in World of Dance. But in my opinion, one of the best hip hop teams in the world, I think, is the Royal Family. They kill it. Their energy, their visuals, the choreography is sick. I think the next one after that is Kinja's, simply because they're entertaining. They're a very strong brand. You see them in a lot of different music videos, different events. In terms of a branding aspect, in terms of a company aspect, I think they're great at that end. So it really depends on what you're trying to go for. In terms of World of Dance, I think the Kings or V-Peeps, I think those two teams are really, really, really killer. The Kings, I think that's their name. Their choreography, not choreography, their tricks and choreography are fun to watch. Their choreography intricacy isn't insanely high, but it's there. I do notice that they stand in a wide stance a lot. I can go into another breakdown video another time, but they're competing on World of Dance and I'm not. So, but they're just years of watching a lot of different teams. You sort of notice these things. They do have a lot of tricks, which gives them the shock value overall. I like V-Peeps a lot. Not just because it's they're Filipino, but hell, Kings and V-Peeps, they're both brown, just different parts of Asia. So shout out to my brown people. So V-Peeps, I think, is one because they're young, and that just makes me jealous instantly. And then the next reason is the intricacy of the choreography. That's what I love about it. And so fake.
Different level. She better kill that choreography.
It's very quick, hits a lot of the beats. I think the only thing that's kind of missing from it feels stiff sometimes, but that's just my subjective opinion about it. But yeah, those are just my favorite hip hop dance teams in the world, and it's going to be different for everyone. Okay, a lot of people, and one of my favorites is still Jabbawockeez. They've managed to do what a lot of dance teams, dance crews, companies, can only dream of doing. They have a residency in Vegas. They're making money doing what they're doing as a crew, and now they're just so I don't know many companies or teams that are doing that in a very high mainstream level. So next question: can a boy dance like a girl or have feminine swag dance moves naturally, just like a girl with good dancing skills? Yes. Short and simple. Just got to practice. Everything's a skill. All swag, style, feminine swag, dance, femme movement. is a skill. It's a series of movements that you can learn from any teacher. Brian Friedman's a great example. I think Miguel Zarate is a great example. There's a lot of great examples of men who can dance femme, and just same thing vice versa. There's a lot of strong women, strong females that can dance the masculine type of energy. So it all just comes down to practice, finding the style you like or the teacher you resonate with, and then putting in the work. How can I become a hip-hop dancer when I'm really shy, but I love to dance hip-hop and I don't know if I'm good enough? I just want to start taking classes. Well, when it comes to, you just do it. I've shared the story plenty of times. I've growing up in high school, I've met some of the shyest people on earth that I thought shouldn't be here in practice. I never said that to them because it's like, I don't want to be an asshole to them, but those are just my opinions. But I also give them the benefit of the doubt because they're just a beginner. I started at the beginning as well. Just start taking class, and then that's where we start building the confidence. That's where we start getting the affirmations and the feedback. Especially if you really want to get good at this, get feedback from the instructor, whose opinion you should value more over than your friends. So be mindful of who you're getting your advice from. If it's a friend or your mom or anyone else who has never danced, take their opinions with a grain of salt. They're not really helping you with your skill set because they don't have the skills. With your teachers, however, you should value their opinions. Not like at the utmost where it's like you live and die by it, but it should give you guidance, give you an idea because they can give you proper direction of how to improve faster. And in your journey of taking classes, aim for small goals that help build your confidence. Maybe you're starting learning from the back. Find your way to be in the front, or find your way to become one of the select dancers if they do select groups at the end. And then from there, find ways to be part of a project and start performing on stage. You're learning all this dance. It's one thing to be in the class and perform for a select group, for a camera if they have it, but it's another thing to be on stage and to just really feel that energy. It's taking small wins, small steps that lead to the big victories. So just take class, and incrementally and with patience, you'll get better. What's better for a beginner, hip hop or jazz? I think that depends on what you're trying to do. I like both. Just do both. They both serve their own purposes. I think I still believe it to this day that traditional classes help. They don't exactly. It's not required, but dancers I've met who have had a strong traditional background have transitioned to do more hip hop, become one of the most beastliest hip hop dancers that I've ever met. And that's not to say that people who people who I know who've only just done hip hop all their lives, that doesn't mean that they're beast as well. It's just there's a certain movement quality that I personally admire that come from people who have been traditionally trained, or classically trained. How can one be a great dancer versus a great performer? Okay, this is something that I notice a lot. I think a great dancer understands the technique, understands how to do the moves correctly, and knows the choreography well. They're very, very, very technically sound. They execute the movement fine, or really well. But I've seen some really, really talented dancers, really shitty performers because they have no emotion. They don't emote. They have no expressions or facials when they're performing. They're just like, instead of like, someone who's like, someone who's very expressive with their face, and that's someone is me. I goof off when I perform, which is, I think, one of the reasons I think people enjoy watching me perform, because I honestly don't think I'm the most technically sound performer, but I know I'm a really fun performer because of the energy I give, the facials I make, how I kind of aim to interact with the crowd. So that's what I think makes a great performer, is someone who can get the audience to feel something, to emote, to evoke emotion to what you're doing, to what the performer is doing. I think obviously it's good to have both, to have really good technique but also be a really good performer, because then having that nice little hybrid, that nice little in-between, just gonna make you a beast, killer performer, dancer. Okay, so And I think and honestly, for me, I'd much rather have a great performer who has a lot of energy, and because has a lot of energy and is a little messy on the technical side, because we can always clean that up through repetition. But someone who is a great dancer, is technically sound, it's hard to push them to have bigger energy if their cap is already what they're showing you. So with that, I'm not saying that it's impossible, but that takes more time to get someone to a level of confidence to push beyond their comfort level of technique. Performing isn't exactly something you can teach through an 8 count. It's something that they do over time. So that means they gotta perform in front of audiences and learn how to emote and then get feedback and repeat the process. Next question is, how do you master hip-hop dancing if you're a ballet dancer for the longest time, tried hip-hop a couple times but failed miserably? You keep trying. If you've ever seen kids learning how to walk, they fall the first 2-3 times. They don't give up. I think a lot of people have a really weird relationship with failure, especially since we kind of live in an age of very instant gratification. They forget that everything is a process and things take time. So if you've only done hip hop a couple of times and feel like you quote unquote failed miserably, take the class again. Define what you want to get out of it. What you want to do with hip hop dance. Do you want to perform? Do you want to become one of the select groups or whatever it is? And then commit to a time frame of how long you're willing to do this. 3 months, 6 months, an entire year. Commit to a time frame. And within that time frame, find ways to get feedback. Okay, get feedback from the instructors, film yourself, critique yourself, find ways to get better. And then not only that, there's also frequency. How often are you going to be taking class? Because taking class every other day is going to be a lot more effective than once a day or once a week. Failing a few times doesn't mean you're a failure. That just means you've got a long way to go. And I think you just got to be patient with yourself, because it's just the beginning of your journey. And to give up this early in the game because you didn't get the results you want, I think personally is foolish. Yeah, and to be honest, kind of shows the lack of commitment to it, because failure and challenges is just life's way of filtering the people who really want it. Alright, so I'm going to do one more question. Alright, so as a dancer, do you agree that some dances are now included as part of sports competitions? For example, ballroom dance and breakdancing. I love the fact that these dances are now in sports competitions, as long as the proper judges are in there. I don't really know too much of how the dance sport kind of industry is working, but as long as there are legit people judging these people from their respective communities, I'm all for it, because ballroom dancing, urban dancing, breaking, funk styles, all these styles require a lot of practice, just as much as any athletes. You got to work on the technique, you got to work on your sets, you got to work on your game plan and how you're going to approach the battle or the competition. It requires hours and hours of practice that I think all these forms of dance are just as athletic as any sport that exists out there. The only difference is we're doing it to music, so I don't see why not. Just because it's kind of an art form itself. I think any sport is an art form as well. The art of basketball, the art of football. There's sort of the technical parts of the game. Learning how to dribble, like knowing how to do a pick and roll in basketball, and same thing with breaking. Got to know the technique of a 6-step, of top rocks. You got to know the difference. Creating sets. There's sets in breaking are the equivalent of running plays for basketball. The difference is, the scope of how involved your body is. Basketball, it's much more involved with a team. Breaking is much more like, your individual use of your body. The intricacies are a lot different. But nonetheless, the principles and a lot of it, the principles and a lot of the work that's put in is just as rigorous as one another. So I'm glad that these are being part of sports competitions, because now it's like, for the longest time, dancing, especially me growing up, dancing for boys, it wasn't cool. It was considered gay, and I know it's like very, at this generation, it would be like very not politically correct, but back then when I was growing up, people threw the word gay as an insult, like whatever. Yeah, just for the longest time, guys dancing at least from my experience, guys dancing wasn't the coolest thing, I guess, in the eyes of other boys. And being in high school and middle school, that kind of peer pressure sucked. The being so aware of people's opinions. I mean, the cool thing is, being a guy dancer, was hearing the screams from the girls. That's what kind of got me to change my opinion about it, because like for a while I was anti-dance. Like in just to give you guys context, 6th grade, I started dancing when I was 8. 6th grade I was called a fag for dancing in my elementary school. 4 years I quit dancing. I became a skater boy, very angry, angsty, and all that stuff. 10th grade, junior year, I joined my high school's dance team. Fell in love with dance again, and rediscovered my joy and passion for it. It literally changed who I was, in a sense, because I wasn't coming from anger. I was coming from a place where I felt, myself, and I felt happy about doing it. And I got to dance with girls. And being socially awkward growing up, at least I felt like I was. It felt cool because I started learning how to talk to girls comfortably without freaking out or stuttering. I don't even know how I got here, but nonetheless, even then in high school, we were practicing crazy hours, like 0 period, from 6 to 8 we were practicing. Then after school, 3 to 6, if it's not competition season yet. Then when it is competition, like maybe 3 to 8, maybe 3 to 9 if we're that behind. And then you just had to be really good at managing your time to make sure your grades were good, otherwise you wouldn't dance. So there's a lot of work put into dancing, and I'm glad it's being put into the context of sports. And I think it'll give deeper appreciation to the mainstream, because it shows. That's what I'm kind of grateful for, shows that have come, like America's Got Talent, or So You Think You Can Dance, or America's Best Dance Crew, or World of Dance, because it shows the grind and the hustle that these dancers put into it. I think the next thing would be dope is if they actually showed legit b-boy battles on TV and had actual commentating. I know the Red Bull BC1 does it, and for the most part it's approved over the years, but most of the time you see it on YouTube. It would be dope to see that on like an NBC or on any of these mainstream television stations, even though traditional media is on its way out. Alright, that's it. If you guys enjoyed today's episode, make sure you hit like, subscribe, share this with friends who you think might benefit from it. And if you got questions yourself, make sure to leave a comment down below, and I will do my best to answer either via comment, or if the question is like super, 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 super different, I will add it to the list of questions I have and answer it on this particular segment. Thanks for watching Emeroy TV, and I'll catch you guys next time.